There's a quiet kind of strength that most people never notice until it's too late. It's not loud. It's not showy. It doesn't demand the spotlight. But it's unshakable. It belongs to the INFJ personality type, often called the rarest of all. And despite being known for empathy and depth, INFJs carry a kind of power that makes them nearly impossible to defeat. When people hear the word defeat, they often think of arguments, conflict, or competition. But for an INFJ, strength shows up in more subtle but brutal ways. You can try to break them emotionally, push them mentally, or manipulate them socially, and it still won't work. Because what protects an INFJ isn't a sharp tongue or strong fists. It's the layers of strength they carry inside: resilience, foresight, clarity, and values. What makes this so brutal is how unexpected it is. Many people underestimate INFJs because they're soft-spoken or gentle. They assume kindness means weakness. But that's where they're wrong. INFJs feel everything, but they don't fall apart. They care deeply, but they don't lose themselves. And when pushed, they don't explode, they evolve. This video breaks down 6 brutal reasons why no one, not a manipulator, not a narcissist, not even life itself, can truly defeat an INFJ. These aren't traits they show off. These are internal strengths, the kind that develop through hardship, reflection, and silent growth. And while others may falter, when faced with betrayal, pressure, or chaos, the INFJ stands firm. Whether you're an INFJ or someone close to one, this will open your eyes to what's really happening beneath their quiet surface. Because behind every calm INFJ is a mind that has already calculated the risks, protected itself from harm, and risen stronger from every time it was pushed too far. Let's start with the foundation of their unshakable strength. Reason number 1: inner moral core. At the heart of every INFJ is something unbreakable, a deep personal code of values. This inner moral compass is not borrowed from others. It's not shaped by trends or social pressure. It's developed over time through reflection, experience, and an unrelenting desire to live with purpose. That core is why no one can truly defeat them. When someone tries to manipulate or control an INFJ, they quickly run into a wall. That wall isn't made of anger or resistance. It's made of conviction. INFJs don't just do things because others tell them to. They need to believe in what they're doing. And if something goes against their values, they will not bend. They might listen. They might stay quiet. But inside, the answer is already no. This level of inner certainty is rare. Most people are influenced by outside forces, what others think, what's trending, what seems easier. But INFJs have a habit of checking in with themselves. They ask, is this right? Is this true? Does this align with who I am? That internal clarity keeps them steady, especially when the world around them is chaotic or dishonest. Even when they make mistakes, they use those moments to grow, not collapse. Instead of pretending nothing happened, they reflect. They want to be better, not to impress others, but to stay in line with their own principles. That's why failure doesn't defeat them. It sharpens them. Their moral strength also protects them in relationships. If someone lies, cheats, or abuses their trust, the INFJ may take time to process. But once they see the truth, they walk away. Not because they don't care, but because they care about their own soul more than pleasing someone who disrespected them. This doesn't mean INFJs are perfect. They doubt themselves at times. But when pushed, their center holds. You can take their time. You can take their energy. But you cannot take away their sense of what's right. And in a world where many people are willing to twist themselves to fit in, that kind of integrity is brutal for anyone trying to control or defeat them. Reason number 2, emotional self-awareness. Most people run from their feelings. When they're overwhelmed, they shut down, lash out, or numb themselves. But INFJs move differently. They don't fear emotions, they understand them. They study them. They sit with them. This emotional self-awareness is one of the most brutal reasons no one can defeat an INFJ. When someone tries to get under their skin or shake their confidence, it doesn't work the way they think. That's because the INFJ already knows their emotional patterns. They've felt sadness, anger, confusion, and betrayal before, and they've learned how to name those feelings instead of denying them. They don't just react. They reflect. This doesn't mean they're emotionally cold or detached. Quite the opposite. INFJs feel everything, sometimes more than they want to. But they have a rare gift. They know what belongs to them and what doesn't. If someone's projecting their insecurities or anger onto them, the INFJ doesn't absorb it blindly. They pause. They ask, "Is this mine?" And if the answer is no, they let it go. This internal check keeps them grounded. Even during intense conflict, the INFJ can trace their feelings back to the source. They know when they're triggered. They know when something is unresolved. And most of the time, they choose to process those emotions privately rather than unleash them onto others. Because they understand themselves so well, they're also hard to manipulate. Emotional manipulation often relies on confusion, making someone question their own feelings or reality. But INFJs rarely fall into that trap. They've already done the emotional work. They know their truth. And they don't need anyone else to validate it. This emotional intelligence makes them incredibly resilient. It gives them the power to move through heartbreak, betrayal, or failure without falling apart. They don't need to escape their pain, they work through it. And when they come out on the other side, they're even more solid than before. Someone who understands their own emotional world is impossible to defeat. Because no matter what's thrown at them, they already know who they are, what they feel, and what they need to do next. That's the INFJ. And it's why emotional attacks don't break them, they build them. Reason number 3, strategic patience. INFJs are rarely impulsive. They don't move just to move. They don't speak just to be heard. They think first, feel second, and act only when it matters. This isn't hesitation, it's strategy. And it's one of the most brutal reasons no one can truly defeat them. When others are chasing quick wins, the INFJ is already focused on the long game. They observe patterns, wait for clarity, and choose their timing carefully. They understand that not everything needs an immediate reaction. Sometimes silence is more powerful than words. Sometimes holding back is a form of control. People who underestimate INFJs often mistake their patience for passivity. They assume that if the INFJ hasn't spoken up, it's because they don't know what's going on. That's the first mistake. The second mistake is thinking that nothing is happening while the INFJ is quiet. In reality, they are processing, studying, and deciding. INFJs use this patience to their advantage. They give people space to reveal themselves. They let situations unfold naturally. And when the time comes to act, whether it's ending a relationship, calling something out, or walking away, they do it without drama. They've already made peace with their decision long before anyone sees it. Strategic patience also protects their energy. INFJs don't waste time fighting battles that don't matter. They don't try to change people who don't want to grow. They pick their fights with care, and when they show up, it's with full clarity. That focus makes them hard to throw off balance. This kind of patience is brutal because it's invisible. You won't see it until it's too late. You'll think the INFJ is stuck, unsure, or afraid to act. But they're not. They're just choosing not to rush. And when they do move, it's already done in their mind. That's what makes them dangerous to underestimate. While others react emotionally or rush to fix things, INFJs are waiting, gathering strength, collecting facts, watching patterns. And when they decide it's time, they act with precision. No chaos. No warning. Just quiet execution. That's how they win. And it's how they stay undefeated. Reason number 4. Profound insight into people. INFJs aren't easy to fool. They might act surprised, they might pretend to play along, but deep down, they already know. Their insight into people is one of their sharpest tools. And it's another reason why trying to defeat them never really works. From a young age, INFJs start to notice things others miss, not just behaviors but motives. They pick up on energy shifts, facial expressions, inconsistencies in tone. While most people are focused on what's being said, the INFJ is tuned into what's not being said. That makes them nearly impossible to lie to over time. Even when they don't have all the facts, they trust their gut. And their gut is almost always right. If something feels off, it usually is. If someone says one thing but acts another way, the INFJ sees the gap. They don't call it out immediately. They watch. They gather evidence. And when the full picture becomes clear, they already know what to do. This insight isn't just mental, it's emotional. They can tell when someone is hurting, hiding, manipulating, or pretending. They understand fear, pride, insecurity, and shame. And that makes them harder to manipulate. You can't use fear to control someone who already sees through you. It's not just defense either. INFJs use their insight to protect themselves and others. They avoid traps, distance themselves from toxic people, and make space for truth. They trust what they feel, even when others dismiss it. That trust in their inner knowing gives them an edge most people don't expect. What's brutal about this is how calm they remain. While others are shocked by betrayals or lies, INFJs are rarely surprised. They already saw it coming. They were just waiting to see how far it would go. And when they walk away, they do it with peace. Not because they didn't care, but because they understood. This kind of understanding gives them power. Not power over others, but power over themselves. It allows them to stay grounded even in chaos. It keeps them steady, even when others fall apart. And it means that no one can truly defeat them, not because they're always right, but because they see the truth before most people do. Reason number 5, ability to withdraw and rebuild. Some people see withdrawal as weakness. They think stepping away means giving up. But for an INFJ, withdrawal is a survival tactic, and a powerful one. It's how they protect themselves, restore their energy, and rebuild their inner world. And that's one of the most misunderstood reasons why no one can defeat them. INFJs absorb more than most. They carry emotions, energy, stress, and the weight of what others feel. That makes them sensitive, but not fragile. Because when things get too heavy, they don't collapse, they retreat. Not to escape, but to regroup. This withdrawal is often quiet. They don't make big announcements. They don't post about needing space. They simply vanish. They stop replying, stop showing up, stop engaging. And in that silence, they begin to heal. It's in these moments of solitude that INFJs rebuild. They reflect on what happened. They sift through emotions. They reconnect with their values and vision. They let go of what doesn't serve them. And they slowly find their strength again, not through noise, but through stillness. What's brutal about this is how effective it is. While others are still stuck in conflict or chaos, the INFJ is already 3 steps into recovery. They're creating new mental space. They're building better boundaries. And they're planning how to move forward with clarity. When they return, they're different. Stronger. Clearer. Sharper. And often, the people who underestimated them don't know what hit them. They thought the INFJ gave up. But really, the INFJ just needed time to get back to themselves. This ability to walk away, to disconnect, to choose peace over reaction, it's not weakness. It's wisdom, It's the reason they survive what would break most people. And it's the reason they keep growing while others stay stuck. You can try to wear them down. You can throw chaos their way. But you can't break someone who knows how to step back, recover, and return stronger than before. Reason number 6. Quiet growth over time. If there's one thing people often fail to notice about INFJs, it's how much they grow over time. This growth isn't loud. It doesn't need applause. It happens in silence, in solitude, and in small, consistent steps. But it's exactly this quiet evolution that makes them impossible to defeat. While others are chasing validation or reacting emotionally to setbacks, INFJs are reflecting, processing, and adjusting. They treat every challenge as a lesson. Every mistake becomes fuel for their next move. And while they may take longer to act, they're never standing still. Internally, they are always changing, always improving. What makes this growth brutal is that most people don't see it until it's already happened. The INFJ you dismissed last year isn't the same person today. The one you thought was unsure or soft has spent the last 12 months learning, healing, and rebuilding. And when they show up again, they don't need to explain it. The change is obvious. INFJs aren't interested in revenge. They don't come back to prove a point. But life has a way of making their growth visible. Maybe it's the new career path they built in silence. Maybe it's the boundary they now hold without apology. Maybe it's the way they respond to old situations with new wisdom. Whatever it is, it catches people off guard. This transformation isn't forced. It's rooted in who they are. INFJs are naturally reflective. They care about growth, not just for success, but because it helps them stay in alignment with their values. They want to understand more, do better, and become stronger, not to impress others, but to live in truth. And because they don't broadcast every part of their journey, this growth feels sudden to outsiders. But it wasn't sudden. It was built slowly, intentionally, and with care. That's why it lasts. So when someone underestimates an INFJ, they might feel like they won at first. Maybe they got the last word. Maybe they walked away with power. But time reveals the truth. The INFJ kept growing, kept healing, and kept moving forward. Quietly. Relentlessly. And by the time you notice, they're already out of reach. Some people think strength is loud. That power means control. That being the smartest person in the room means talking the most. But INFJs show us something different. They teach us that real strength doesn't have to be loud to be unbreakable. It lives in silence, in patience, in emotional clarity, and in unwavering personal truth. Throughout this video, we've looked at 6 brutal reasons why no one can defeat an INFJ. Not because they never struggle. Not because they're invincible, but because their resilience is built from the inside out. It's not about avoiding pain, it's about what they do with it. They grow. They rebuild. They observe. They understand. And when they move, they do it with power that surprises everyone who ever doubted them. If you're an INFJ, let this be your reminder. You don't need to explain your strength. You don't need to fight to be seen. Your mind, your heart, and your spirit are more than enough. Keep growing in your own way. Keep trusting that inner voice. It has already taken you further than most people realize. And if you know an INFJ, don't mistake their calm for weakness. Don't assume their kindness is a lack of clarity. They see more than they say, and they feel more than they show. Respect the ones who carry silent strength, because those are the ones who cannot be broken. Thanks for watching. And remember, quiet doesn't mean soft. Stillness doesn't mean stuck. And underestimating an INFJ, that's the first mistake many people never get the chance to make twice.